This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Bruchim Abam, welcome everyone. So, this is our penultimate Shiur before Shavuos, and we're still here in an empty Beis HaMedrash, despite the governor's new allowance, which is yet to be employed and interpreted. May I just move that case off the hat? We're still trying to figure out how to put that into practice. But Be'ezus Hashem, we hope to be back here soon together with everybody. And may tonight's learning be Zchus for Shlema for Moshe Aaron Mordechai ben Fega and Zchus for Shlema for Shimon Yeshua ben Sarah. We know that the crowning achievement of Klal Yisrael at Har Sinai, or one of the crowning achievements, was the fact that we rose up and when offered the Torah, the pasuk says in Mishpatim, many mistakenly think off the bat this expression must appear in Yisro. The pasuk says, "Vayikach Sefer Habris," Parshas Mishpatim, Perek Chav Daled, pasuk Zayin. And he took the book of the covenant, Vayikra ba'oznei ha'am, and he read it in the ears of the people, Vayomru, and they said, Kol asher dibar Hashem, everything that the Lord speaketh, Naaseh V'nishma, we will do, and we will literally listen. And the obvious question is, this is a rather unusual expression, because what do you mean we will do and we will listen? How can you do something that you have not heard? A person could be very obedient, but he has to know what he needs to do. How is it possible to perform before one hears even what is being said? And tonight's Shiur will explore this question. Why did Klal Yisrael respond Naaseh V'nishma? What was the madrega of Naaseh V'nishma? How is it possible to have the level of Naaseh V'nishma? And this comes from the Sefer Midbar Kedemos of none other than one of my favorite all-time Gedolim, Reb Chaim Yosef David Azulai, the Chidah, in the Midbar Kedemos. And amazingly, in number 2, the Chidah says, Naaseh V'nishma l'mashek dimu Naaseh L'nishma yesh kama tikunim. There are many interpretations, there are many explanations, there are many expositions, and we're going to explore 10 reasons tonight of the Chidah. 7 of them the Chidah took from the Sefer Tzemach David, of Rabbi Yosef David of Shulaniki, who lived from 1660 to 1736, the author of Tshuvas Beis David. 3 the Chidah added on his own, and then we'll add 2 interpretations as well. The Gemara says in Shabbos that Rabbi Lazar said at the time that Klal Yisrael responded Naaseh before Nishma, a heavenly voice called out and said, who revealed the great secret to my children, the secret that the angels utilize, like the pasuk says, Baruch Hu Hashem Malachav, blesses God, His angels, Giboirei Kayach, mighty warriors, Oisei Devarai Lishmaya B'Kol Devarai, those who do His bidding to hear the voice of His bidding. First it says the angels do, then it says the angels listen. So this was a secret that was utilized by none other than the Malachi Asharis. So when Klal Yisrael utilized that secret, are both lights on the Bluetooth? When Klal Yisrael utilized that secret, the Rebbeinu Shalom said, who revealed this secret to the Malachi, to Klal Yisrael? This is a secret of the angels. And then the Gemara says, commenting on the pasuk, Kisapuach ba'asei hayar kein rayasi bein habanois. Klal Yisrael is compared to the apple. Actually, Tosfos says this refers to the esrog tree. Why are Klal Yisrael referred to as the esrog? Just like in esrog, its fruit precedes its leaves, contradistinction to all of other fruits, whose leaves precede its fruit. The fruit of the esrog, the fruit precedes its leaves. Klal Yisrael were makdim Naaseh V'nishma. And then the Gemara continues. The Gemara tells us a story. There was a certain heretic, a tzedaki, that saw Rava, who was deeply engrossed in learning. And he was sitting with his hand under his leg, and he was squeezing his hand, and his hand was gushing with blood. And he says to Rav Amarle, Ama Paziza, you impetuous nation, Dikadmisu Pumaychulu Naichu. Your mouth preceded your ear. You spoke with your mouth before you could hear with your ear. You're impetuous. You don't think. You're rash. Akati. You still are impetuous. You should have said to God, well, we're happy to do what you want. Just let us know what it is, and we'll tell you if we could keep it or not. You should have told God, listen, let us know what it is, and then we'll let you know whether it's possible to keep. And Rava, your nation is still impetuous. You're learning without thinking. You just make rash decisions. You're not well thought out. You just decide. Says Rava Amarle Anan Desaginan Bishlimusa. No, you made a mistake, Tzadaiki. We walk wholeheartedly. Ksiv Ban, it says about us, Tumas Yisharim Tanchem. The wholeheartedness of the upright, you will lead them. Hanachinshi, but those people, the Sagan Ba'alilusa, they walk with pretext. They will be distorted. Ksiv Bahu. The Salif Boigdem Yishadim. So Rava is saying, no, we're not impetuous. We're walking wholeheartedly. What does this mean? Rashi says beautifully, His halachnu imay b'toim leiv. We walk with God wholeheartedly, kederech ha'isim me'ahava, like those who act out of love. V'samachnu alav, and we rely on Him. Shelo yitanenu b'davar, that He doesn't burden us with something. Shelo nuchal la'amod by, that we cannot withstand. In other words, Rashi interprets the Gemara that Naaseh V'nishma was an expression of love. We said, God, yeah, we could tell you, please let us know what it says, but we prefer to show our love, meaning we're reliant on you. We know whatever you tell us, it will be easy for us. It will be within our ability. You're not going to burden us needlessly. So therefore, the first pshat in Naaseh V'nishma, it was an expression of the love of Klal Yisrael. They were saying to God, God, we trust you, we love you, we know whatever you're going to ask us, it's going to be for our benefit. So that's the first pshat, Meir. Today on the camera we have a big tzaddik, Rabbi Glatstein, up and coming Talmid Chacham. Thank you very much for taking out the time for videoing tonight's shiur. So the first pshat in Naaseh V'nishma is that it's a sign of the love of Klal Yisrael. Like when I asked Meir to do something, I said, Meir, could you help me out? Meir says, Daddy, I'm going to do it, of course. You just let me know what it is. So that because Meir knows how much I love him, so he responds in kind. So to Klal Yisrael, responded to Hashem, Naaseh V'nishma. We will do and then we will listen. That's the first pshat. Pshat number 2, this is maybe my favorite. There's a pasuk in Iyov, Perek Yadaleh, pasuk Yod. V'gever yamos vayechalash, and a man dies and becomes weak. Vayigva, he expires. Adam, the man expires. Va'ayo, and he is no longer. Here's the $1 million question. Meir, the pasuk says a man dies and he gets weak. Does that make any sense? No. What should it say? A man gets weak and then he dies. That would be the correct order. Why does it say a man dies and then he gets weak? So the Mefarshim explain, it means he dies after he gets weak. Yes, it says Yomus Vayechalash. It means he dies after he gets weak. So too says the Tzemach David, quoted by the Chidah. Naaseh will do V'nishma after we listen. The Klal Yisrael never said we're going to do before we listen. They never committed to that. It's a grammar point. Sometimes in Lashon HaKodesh it says be before A. It means be after A. Yamos Vayechalash, he dies after he gets weak. Naaseh V'nishma, we'll do after we listen. So that sort of nips the question in the bud. The question doesn't get off the ground in the first place. Approach number 3. There's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, which is elaborated on with 2 words in Avos Reb Nassan. In Pirkei Avos it says, Kol shemasav merubim mechachmasai. Anyone who has more actions than wisdom, chachmasai miskayemes. His wisdom will be sustained and will last. The kol she chachmasai meruba memaisav, anyone whose chachma is greater than his actions, ein chachmasai miskayemes, his wisdom will not remain. Now we understand what it means for someone to have more chachma than maisim. Very simple. You could know, let's say, 3 mesechtas, and you only fulfill 2 of them. So you know more than you do. You can know 3 out of the 6 books of the Mishnah Berurah. You know 3 of them, and you only keep 1 of them. So you know more than you do. It's very easy to know more than one does. Most people know more than they fulfill. But how in the world is it possible to do more than you know? You can't do what you don't know. You can't keep 5 halakim of Mishnah Berurah if you only know 2. You can't keep 2 parts of the Shulchan Aruch if you only know 1. You can't do what you don't know. So if you look in Avos to Rav Nasan in Perek Chav Beis, it just adds 2 words. Kol shamasav merubin mechachmasa, anyone whose actions are greater than his wisdom, chachmasa miskayemes, shenemar Naaseh V'nishma. Naaseh V'nishma shows me that it's possible for a person to have more action than wisdom. How is it possible to have more action than wisdom? And what do we see from Naaseh V'nishma? Says the Shari Tshuva, says Rabbeinu Yoina in Shari Tshuva. It means as follows. Someone who accepts wholeheartedly, this is in Shari Tshuva, Shar Beis Ois Yod, with a full heart, whatever my Rebbe teaches me, I don't know what it's going to be yet, I'm going to do. Whatever I hear in Shiurim, I'm going to fulfill. Whatever I learn in Sfarim, I'm going to keep. I don't know all the Sfarim. I didn't go to the Shiur yet. I don't know what my rabbi is going to tell me. But I'm committed that whatever I learn, I will ultimately keep. Whatever the Dayanim, whatever Talmidei Chachamim, whatever the Tzaddikim instruct me, I will fulfill. Yesh biyodoi min hayoim hazeh schara kol ha-mitzvos. From that day on, you have reward for all the mitzvahs. Why? Because you're inclined to listen, and for everything that you didn't learn yet, you have donned righteousness from what you didn't learn. And eventually you'll learn. Meaning, what we're learning is as soon as a person is makabel to fulfill something, it's like he fulfilled it. So this person has more maisim than chachma. He keeps all 6 halakim of Mishnah Berurah. He keeps all 4 halakim of Shulchan Aruch. He keeps all 60 mesechtas. He doesn't know any of them. But he's accepted upon himself to keep whatever he learns, so he's already accredited with what he has, with what he eventually will learn. Where do we learn this from? Says Rabbeinu Yoina, this is what the Avos Rav Nasan means. Shenemar Naaseh V'nishma. We'll do. It's considered as if we did it because they were makdim the Kabbalas HaMaisa Lefnei the Shmiya. When Klal Yisrael said Naaseh, that means Hashem. Whatever you're going to tell us, we're going to do. So that means they were makabel. They were makdim, accepting to do. They accepted to do before they listened, and then they're accredited as if they already did it. Says Rabbeinu Yoina, uve'inyan acher, and in any other fashion, like yitachin sheyu masei ha'adam merubim mima sheyodea. It is impossible for a person to do what they don't know. Naaseh V'nishma means Klal Yisrael stood at Sinai and they said, Rebbeinu Shalom, we don't know what you're going to tell us, but we've accepted to do everything that you will teach us, and therefore the Rebbeinu Shalom accredited them immediately as if they already did it. It's an amazing concept, Meir, right? That means if you go to yeshiva, or if somebody goes to a shiur, and their attitude is, I will keep whatever I'm taught, they're already accredited. Hashem already gives them schar as if they already did everything, even before they know it. So they get schar for keeping all the Torah, even though they only know a very little bit. So says the Chidah, the third pshat in Naaseh V'nishma is, in order to be merames, you need to do more than you know, and that is by having the commitment and the Kabbalah that you will fulfill everything you are taught. Number 4. Now, when the Jewish people stood at Har Sinai, and Hashem was going to give them the Torah, there were certain entities that said, why would you give the Jewish people the Torah? Give us the Torah. Who were those entities? The heavenly angels, the Malachi Hasharis. The Malachim said, we want the Torah. We're greater intellects. We could probe the secrets of the Torah. We could learn the mystic element of the Torah, that far superior to mankind. Give us the Torah, God, don't give it to man. And how did we one-up the angels? So, yes, I had to get it in the Sefer on Rav Meir. There's an entire chapter on this subject. We've spoken in the past that Klal Yisrael one-up the angels because we're banim, we're children, and therefore even though the angels are neighbors, bar mitzvah, we won up the angels. But one of the other ways in which we triumphed over the angels is we said to God, the angels could understand, they could probe, but they can't fulfill. They can't put on tefillin. They can't honor their father and mother. They can't get married. The angels don't have a guf, and therefore they are not bichlal naaseh. Maybe they're in nishma, but they can't do naaseh. So the reason why naaseh was said first is because we needed naaseh before we needed nishma. We needed naaseh to triumph and to overcome the tinus of the angels. So naaseh was stated first in order to wrestle the Torah free from the Malachei Hasharis. That's a good shot, Meir, right? Okay. Number 5. The 5th pshat in Naaseh V'nishma comes from the Medrash in Shmais Rabbah, Parsha Chaf Aleph Oisei. This is going on a pasuk in Shir HaShiurim. Yoinasi b'chagvei hasela, my dove in the cleft of the rock. It should have said Yoina b'chagvei hasela, a dove in the cleft of a rock. Why does it say Yoinasi b'chagvei hasela? Says Rabbi Yochanan, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Klal Yisrael, you know, a yoina is foolish, a dove is foolish, it has no heart, it has no understanding. It's very obedient, it's very compliant. Says God, you Jews, you're only compliant and obedient to me. You're only tamimostic to me. But when it comes to the nations of the world, when they try to take you away from the Torah, you ain't no dove, you're a wild animal. Gur Aryeh Yehuda, you're a lion cub. Binyamin Ze'ev Yitro, you're a wild wolf. Dan is like a snake, and therefore to the Oivdei Koichavim, we are like Chayos, but to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we are a yoina. The nations of the world say to us, what do you get out of Shabbos? What do you get out of Milah? And they want to be mevatel our mitzvahs. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're like a yoina. Shenemar. What is the proof of our obedience to God? What is the proof that even though to the nations of the world, we're a brocking bronco, we can't be taken down, we're a stubborn mule, but to God we're obedient? What is the proof that we're tamimostic to our God, to the Ribbono Shel Olam? Shenemar Naaseh V'nishma Lekach Nemar Yoinasi, you're my yoina, you're yoina to me, not to the nations of the world. So yoina Naaseh V'nishma is a symbol of our wholeheartedness, our tamimostic, our nature of being wholesome and obedient and compliant to the Ribbono Shel Olam. Naaseh V'nishma. Number 6. So, as I mentioned, Meir is a very big tzaddik. And when I ask Meir to do something, you know what he says? Daddy, done. Meir, I didn't even tell you what it is. No, it doesn't matter. It's done. What does he mean by done? But he didn't do it yet. Done means he's going to do it so fast, it's as if he did it even before he heard. Now, obviously, he can't do it before he hears. So, when somebody says to you, done, it means I'm going to do it so quickly, it's as if I did it even before you told me what to do. So to Naaseh V'nishma, of course Klal Yisrael had to hear it. But it was a sign of Zerizus and Mehirus that it's going to be so quick, it's going to look like we did it even before the Ribbono Shel Olam said. So Naaseh V'nishma, in Pshat number 6 says, the Chidah, quoting the Tzemach David, it's a symbol of swiftness, Zerizus, alacrity. And finally, number 7 says the Chidah, Naaseh V'nishma, means like this. Look, there were some mitzvahs we knew the Ribbono Shel Olam was going to command us. For example, in all probability, we knew from Avram Avinu put on tefillin and he sat in the sukkah. We asked Avram, hey, what are you doing, Abraham? Avram said, it's going to be in the Torah. So we knew that there were certain things Hashem was going to command us. So Naaseh, we will do those things that you're destined to command us, like Avraham Avinu is Mekayim Kol HaTorah Ad Sheloi Nitna. That's Naaseh. Naaseh means, God, we know already there's certain things in your repertoire that you're going to pull out. We know we're going to have matzah. Yitzchak, Avraham ate matzah, and Yaakov sat in the sukkah, and they davened. So we know what's in store to some extent. Naaseh, we're going to keep those mitzvahs. These, says the Chidah, are the 7 tzemichais, the 7 tzitzim, Ufrachim, the 7 flowers that were planted by the great Tzemach David, Hagoyin Rabbi Yosef David Mishaluniki, from Salonika, again, who lived from 1660 to 1736. Number 1, Naaseh V'nishma is a sign of great love, a sign of Ahava. Number 2, to demonstrate that is, it doesn't mean in that order. It's like Yamos, Gever Yamos, V'yechelash. He'll die and he'll get weak, meaning he'll die after he got weak. Naaseh V'nishma, will keep after we listen. Number 3, like it says in Avos Rav Nasa, Naaseh, we accept upon ourselves that we will do it, and therefore we're immediately accredited with the schar of that mitzvah, even before we listened. Number 4, in order to triumph over the angels wanted the Torah. Our argument is you can't keep, we could keep. Number 5, the Medrash compares us to an obedient dove who's wholehearted, who has tmimostek. Naaseh V'nishma demonstrates that although to the nations of the world we're stubborn like an ox, but to God we're like a obedient yoina. Number 6, we're God done. We're going to do it so quickly, it's like we did it before you told us. And finally, number 7, what we mean is Naaseh, what you are going to command us, those things which we know you're going to command us, we will keep them like Avram Avinu kept the Torah before it was given. But comes the Holy Chidah, and the Chidah says, well, wait a second, let me add on 3 new interpretations of Naaseh V'nishma. And this first one, the Chidah quotes from the Taras Chaim, who is a Kadmoin, a Masech Avodah Zarah Daf Beis, and he quotes it in Midbar Kedemais in 2 places, both in Ma'areches Nun, in Ois Chaf Vav, and in Ois Aleph. So, here it goes. Meir, when Hashem offered the Torah to Klal Yisrael, were they the first nation that Hashem offered the Torah to? No. He offered it to other nations. Like which nations? Who did Hashem offer the Torah to? Esav and Yishmael. And Esav says, God, what does it say in the Torah? And what did Hashem say? It says, don't kill. So what did Esav say? Not for us. Then what are we supposed to do all day? And then Hashem said to Yishmael, you want the Torah? And Yishmael says, what does it say? And Hashem said, don't commit adultery. So what did Yishmael say? No thanks. So what are we supposed to do all day? What does Esav mean, Meir? Esav means performed, done. Because he was born as if he was fully made. Asoy. What does Yishmael mean? Shema, listen. Because Hashem heard the voice of Hagar. You know what Naaseh V'nishma means? Naaseh, we're going to do it. We're going to take the place of Esav. A lashon of Aseh, Asiyah. V'nishma, we're going to listen. We're going to take the place of Yishmael, a lashon of Shmiya. You understand? Naaseh V'nishma means God, Esav didn't want the Torah, Yishmael didn't want the Torah. We will replace Esav. We will replace Yishmael. Naaseh V'nishma. Naaseh keneged Esav, Nishma keneged Yishmael. Why Naaseh before Nishma? Because Hashem offered the Torah to Esav before Yishmael. So therefore we say Naaseh, and then we say Nishma. Meir is going to say that over on Shavuos. That's a nice pshat. That's pshat number 8. Pshat number 9, a Gemara in Erevin. The Gemara is talking about Pasei Bira'is. You see, when the Beis HaMikdash stood, 3 times a year we would go up to Yerushalayim to fulfill the mitzvah of Aliyah L'Regel. You know what Aliyah L'Regel is? On Yom Tov you have to go up to Yerushalayim. Every Jew has to go up to Yerushalayim. The thing is, when you're walking, what happens, Meir? When you're walking in the heat, you become very thirsty, right? So you need a well. The thing is, you can't carry. You can't take... on Shabbos, you're going to carry from the well, which is a Rishus Hayachid to a Rishus Harabim. So the Gemara says you're allowed to make Pasei Bira'is, you're allowed to make boards around the well in order to be able to carry the water up from the well, which is a Rishus Hayachid, into the Rishus Harabim. But the Gemara says you can only use it to draw water for your animals, but you can't use it to draw water for yourself, because the Gemara says, Metapes v'oila, metapes v'yored. What you do is, you put your hands on the wall of the well, and you put your feet on the wall of the well, and you sort of climb down the well. Meir knows exactly what I'm talking about, right? You could a human being could inch his way down, metapes v'oila, metapes v'yored. That's the Gemara. So Tosfos and Psachim asks, why does it say backward? It should say metapes v'yored. First you go down, and then metapes v'oila. First you go down to the bottom of the well, and then you go up the well. So Tosfos says, it's the same thing. The Gemara in Psachim says, you should always enter the city while it's still day, and leave the city while it's still day. Wait a second. First you leave the city you're coming from, then you enter the city you're going to. Why does it say you should enter, and then you should leave? So Tosfos basically says, that's the orcha de Gemara laminkad hachi. The Gemara sometimes says things sort of out of order. For example, a Gemara in Bameh Madlikin, the Gemara says, how long is bein hashmashois? Keharaf ayin, the flash of an eye. Zeh nechnas, the night enters, v'zeh yotzei, and the day leaves. It's the opposite order. It should say the day leaves and then the night enters. So we see it's the derech of Shas to speak the other way around. That's a manner of speech. So too the Chida says that's Pshat and Naaseh V'nishma. So at first glance, to me it seemed like this is the exact same thing as the second Pshat of the Tzemach David. Gever Yamos Vayechalash. A man dies and he gets weak, meaning he dies after he got weak. It's backward. So what is the Chida adding? He's showing from a Tosfos, the same thing we see from a Pasuk in Eiv. But the Chida in the Midbar Kedemais explains a little bit further that why does it say in Erevin metapes va'oila metapes v'yored? You inch your way up and you inch your way down. Metapes va'oila means you inch your way up after you must have already come down. Metapes v'yored means you go down and eventually you'll come up. Saying it in that order, the Chida implies, means you're going to do it many, many times. People constantly go up and down the well. That's indicated by saying it backward, because if it says oila first, that means you already went down, and it says yored second, well, you got to go up eventually. Naaseh V'nishma is a way of saying to God, God, we're going to listen to you every single day, all the time. Meaning, Naaseh, we're going to do it, that means we already listened. And Nishma means we're going to listen, Yanu, and that means we'll do. It's a way of saying to God, we're on this, we're on the case, we're going to be listening to you regularly. That's how I interpret this 10th pshat of the Chida. These are the amazing 10 pshatim. So number 1, Naaseh V'nishma is a sign of love. Number 2, no, it means we'll do it after we already heard. Number 3, it's a way of gaining more maisim than chachma. Naaseh, we've accepted upon ourselves to do everything we learn. Number 4, we said Naaseh first to oust the malachim who are not bechlal Naaseh. Number 5, it shows our tmimustik, our wholeheartedness. We're like a yoina, we're an obedient yoina. Number 6, we're saying to God, it's done. We're going to do it so quickly, it's as if it's done before we listen. Number 7, God, we're going to do those things we know you're going to tell us, like Avraham Avinu. Naaseh, we're going to do it even before, because we know you're going to tell it to us. Number 8, Naaseh, we're going to replace Esav. Nishma, we're going to replace Yishmael. Number 9, excuse me, I didn't even tell you number 10 yet. Number 9, metapes v'oila metapes v'yored. Naaseh V'nishma means we're going to listen to you again and again and again and again. If we're saying we did, we're going to do, that means after we listen. And if we said we're going to listen, that means we're going to do, meaning it's a statement of continuous listening. And finally, number 10, the Chida says, what's greater? Someone who does a mitzvah if he is not required to do a mitzvah, or someone who does a mitzvah when he's required to? We know it's a big discussion in the Gemara. Ultimately, we say, Gadol mitzvah va'oiseh mimi she'eina mitzvah va'oiseh. It's greater. Greater is someone who does a mitzvah when he's commanded than someone who does a mitzvah when they're not commanded. But it's a big debate, it's a big shaila, it's a big machlekes. Naaseh means we're going to do it before you command, if it's better to do a mitzvah and you're not commanded. V'nishma means we're going to listen and we're going to do it if it's greater to be commanded. So they're both addressed, and we're saying, God, whichever way is greater. If it's greater to do it without being commanded, we're going to do it that way. If it's better to do it only when we're nishma, we'll do it that way. These are the 10 amazing pshatim of the Chida. I want to add 2 additional perushim from the Malbim. The holy Malbim, Rav Meir Leibish ben Yechiel Michal. Says the Malbim, Naaseh refers to mitzvahs aseh, Nishma refers to mitzvahs lois aseh. Naaseh, God will do. Naaseh, aseh. Nishma means we will be zahir, we'll be careful not to violate the lavin. It doesn't mean we're going to do before we listen. Naaseh means action, Nishma means awareness and beware. And finally, the Malbim teaches us, Nishma does not mean to listen. Shema Yisrael! Listen, just listen, Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, understand Yisrael. Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Doesn't mean listen. What good is it to listen? You have to inculcate it. It means deep understanding. I'll bring you a proof. Nishma means deep understanding. Ya'aleh, God, our tefillah should go up. V'yava, you should come. V'yeira'eh, you should see it. V'yeiratzeh, it should find favor with you. V'yishama, and you should hear it. You already saw it. It already found favor. What does Vishama mean? It's long past Vishama. Vishama means God, understand well what we need. Naaseh means as follows. God, we might not know the secret meaning of the mitzvahs or understand the depths of the mitzvahs. Naaseh, we're going to do it. Once we do it, and we're in the habit of doing it, and we've practiced it, then Nishma al Yedei came through this. Nishma lahavin tamei ha-mitzvahs v'salasayim. By performing the mitzvahs, we'll come to understanding the deep meaning and reasoning behind the mitzvahs. Nishma is not listen, Nishma is havana amuka. So these are 12 perushim in Naaseh V'nishma. We should be zoicha, that we know the Jewish calendar is a living calendar, which means the Gemara tells us that every Erev Shavuos is a dangerous time because, so to speak, we relive the moment where God suspends Sinai over our heads like a barrel. The Gemara says you're not allowed bloodlet on Erev Shavuos because it's a really dangerous time. But it's also a living cyclical calendar in the sense that every year we commit ourselves again to the Torah, be'ahava u'v'ratzon Naaseh V'nishma. We express our ahava like the first pshat. We express our tmimustik like the fifth pshat. We express that we are makabel everything we're going to learn like the third pshat we said tonight. We express, like the Malbim says, we're not going to violate mitzvahs aseh, we're going to fulfill aseh, we're not going to violate lois aseh. We're ultimately going to understand the mitzvahs and all the various perushim. We say, God, done. We're going to be mikayim mitzvahs with such ahava, with such tamimustik, with such zrizus. It's good as done. May we be zoicha to reach the madrega of Naaseh V'nishma, and thereby Hashem should crown and be misater Yisrael and say, Avdiyata Yisrael Asher B'cha Espar. Wishing everyone a beautiful night. Bracha v'atzlacha.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.